Good evening, guys. This will be a little bit different video. I'm sitting in my happy place, if you will. Just trying to get the last little bit of motivation I need to finish out the year strong. So, it's been a while. I'm going to try to keep these short and sweet because I only got about 9-ish minutes of record time before my phone gets full. Get you guys kind of up to date what's been going on. So, as with the last video, the GTO does run. You should have seen that video before this part of the video. It does run. It starts every time. It's just literally a 5.3 that a buddy of mine had, a short block laying on the floor of his shop for the better part of 4 years that came out of his father-in-law's truck that hit a deer, very Oklahoma. And long story short, the engine has about 80,000 miles on it. I paid $400 for it, and like 3 sets of heads, 2 wiring harnesses, and a whole bunch of stuff. So needless to say, for the price, I couldn't really pass it up. Now I have a running car. And with that, I put a stage 3 old TSP blower cam in it, stock heads, used stud bolts, didn't touch the bottom end. So it is as sloppy you can get, if you guys remember the sloppy mechanic stuff and the forums and everything back in the day. That's not to say the car won't be reliable. I'm sure it will, but for the purposes of getting it to my goal, which is running and driving, it'll work. We're going to put factory GTO brakes back on it. Got a buddy of mine who's going to trade me some parts for parts. I'm not mad because it's not going to cost me anything. So it'll get factory style rotors, which isn't as sexy as the CTSV rotors I had on it, but given the very limited funds, it's just going to work for right now. And factory size rotors and pads, and for the sake of getting the car drivable again, it'll work for the time being. We went and traded the TH400 I had on hand for basically a T56 swap. Now, granted, the T56 is in pieces, but it's all there. And it came with a used monster clutch, an aluminum drive shaft, cross member, pretty much everything I need. And so what I ended up doing was I had a 04 auto brake and cable pedal assembly. So I just took the gas pedal off, combined it with my drive-by-wire setup for the brake and clutch, put them together. Now I have basically an 04 6-speed setup underneath the car. But with the transmission that I got and all the pieces, short of getting the transmission rebuilt and the clutch rebuilt, the car is drivable because it does run, it does start. You know, as you guys saw, it's drivable 100% after that. Once I get the brakes put on and everything, and although there'll still be a buttload of wiring for the windows and lights and so forth, just making that accomplishment alone would be huge, considering the car sat for the better part of 8, almost 9 years. And we're looking to get that done here. So my goal for the end of 2024 is to have a complete working hydraulic brake system, as in there's rotors and pads and calipers on the car. You get inside the car and press the pedal, the brakes work. And to have a complete working hydraulic clutch system, so the clutch pedal, you can push it, there's a master, a slave, and the line and everything, and it actuates. That's my goal for this car for finishing out 2024. Easily done. I can buy all factory parts for the clutch system and be good to go. We're going to go with the TIC system, and I know, you know, they're going to crack the firewall and all that kind of stuff. Listen, I ran the TIC master cylinder Tilden setup for years, never had an issue. It took me around the Nürburgring, no fucking problem. So that's what I'm going to go with. With that being said, we have a working steering wheel. There's a rack in the car now. The end links are bolted up to the outers. Everything works. So we're very close to a running and driving car. A running and driving and stopping car at that. The clutch rebuild might take a minute, considering that, you know, it's a T56 all the same. It's got some broken pieces in it. It's going to be pretty expensive, whatever. So we're going to save that for 2025. Also, a little bit of an update. So I had a 2017 Power Stroke F250. Lifted, big wheels, all that good stuff. Well, I traded that because I no longer run a trucking business. And got my wife a Range Rover, which is a car she always wanted. With that, the Durango she used to drive, which broke a valve guide, have the engine out of it, and we're going to put a 426 6.4 BGE block based long block in it. We're going to transfer the same cam over the same oil pump. It didn't do any shrapnel or anything. It just literally just broke the valve guide, and I took it apart. So we got that looking forward to, going to end of 24, early 25. So my new daily, well, dailies, I should say, because it's a bit of a two-part issue. We're going to rebuild the engine, excuse me, in the Durango. It'll have a 426 in it, preferably supercharged if I can wheel and deal my way to getting a used RIP system or a Hellcat system or whatever to put on there. And it'll basically be a daily for the family because it says 7, and a backup for her to take to work because she's a nurse. And so the whole reason for having the range, because it's a whole drive and everything, it can take her anywhere, everywhere she's got to go, and then some. Plus the maintenance is significantly cheaper than my Power Stroke was. Trust me on that. So that's the plan for the Durango. And with that, I also acquired a 98 Subaru Legacy Outback 2.5 that was supposed to be a first car for my oldest, who just can't be bothered. And any of you out there who have kids that are of driving age this generation, you know what I'm talking about. They're not us. They're not gearheads. They're not really motivated to do a whole lot, and that's neither here nor there. He's not interested, so I'm not worried about it. I'll use it as another build for the channel. I've already sourced a EJ20X JDM 2.0 turbo engine for locally to me with a turbo for about $500. So we're gonna pick that up in a couple of weeks, and I'll put that on an engine stand and try to incorporate all of these builds and do something with all the money that I'm spending and time that I have. So on top of the GTO and getting it back to its former glory, it will never really be a daily, simply because I took it so far down just preemptively. My goal for it is to have more of a Australian JDM tuner inspired build. For those of you who are really hardcore in the car scene I'm talking about, where it's like a streetable car, you can drive it on the street and daily if you wanted to. It's mostly track focused. I'm taking it away from the drag focus and make it more of like a circuit Wangong style car. Then the Durango will be just a family hauler that does tons of burnouts. It might make a quarter mile pass here and there. I don't know how far the HP70 is going to make it with that kind of power in front of it. And then the Subaru, will kind of see how it goes. I've always wanted a late 90s Japanese tuner car to mess with and do a little something. The flat four of the Subarus do interest me because it's just such an odd engine, kind of like the rotaries. Not a whole lot of people run them, and the guys that do are a very niche group. So doing a JDM 2.0 turbo swap would be cool. And just to kind of touch that part of my life, because that was me back in high school, was, the Hondas and Nissans and so forth. So the fact that the kid's not interested isn't a big deal. I'm still going to do something with the car and tinker with it, because this is what I do. And so ultimately the channel will have the GTO and the Durango and then the Subaru tentatively. And you might see a cameo of my wife's Range Rover now and then doing, regular maintenance on it, because it's actually not that bad. Turns out on the newer Range Rovers especially, hers is a 19, so like when you do the oil changes, you just press a button and put the suspension over suspend, and it'll raise itself all the way up. You don't have to jack it up. Come on. It doesn't get any easier than that. The belt system is another thing. I did both blower and the main serpentine belt on it yesterday, and no, whoever designed that needs to be punched in the face, like 100%. But outside of that, it is a loosely Coyote-based V8 supercharged. It's got the same HP 70, I believe, in it as pretty much everything nowadays. 8-speed, great little car, perfect for her. And so we'll just try to tie all that stuff in going forward for the channel, just for material's sake. But that's what we got going on. GTO's on track. Picked up another project inadvertently. Well, 2 projects, I guess, if you count the Durango as well, since it was kind of an engine failure that turned into a project. But I'm looking to get that engine done before Christmas and have it in by the end of the year, possibly early next year. And then the Subaru's just kind of as time and money allows. So anyways, as always, thanks for keeping up with my tiny little channel and what I'm doing. I'm just a regular guy trying to make hot rodding great again. So for those of you out there that are subscribed, thanks. And for those who are watching, thanks for you too. So stay safe.